We're all scared. We all can have anxiety. So it's even more important in life that the people around you don't add to depression, don't add to anxiety. And that's kind of what I want to talk about is I don't want to make this video in a negative tone. I don't want to make it a judgment or be hurtful towards others. But I want to make this video to say from my experience, depressed people will steal your joy, will suck your energy, and it'll make you harder to make the big decisions in your life because you'll kind of be fighting them, okay? Whether they're family, friends, whoever. And so, how do you handle depressed people when we're all in our own way could be fighting depression, sadness, fear? Some people have it different than others, right? But this is about always focusing on you and improving yourself, okay? And so you're being observant of the energy and the people and their perspective around you. And what I have found in my life is when I've been very energetic and determined and intense to go after a goal or my best life, it becomes a battle with someone who may not be as aggressive towards their goals and may not really want to hear all that or be around that intensity. And certainly there's been people that have been more intense than me. But what I want to share with you is a boundary, okay? A boundary. Because people will either add to your energy or take away your energy. And it's okay sometimes that you have people around you that are a little bit, that you need to encourage, because we all need encouragement at times. It's okay to have people around you that are a little bit anxious. And I want to put anxiety in the same spectrum as depression. Okay? Because, when you're talking to someone who's always worrying and always fearful, again, they could be probably some of the most loving people you ever met. So I'm not saying you should exclude them from your life, but everyone in your life needs to have boundaries. And again, we're taking this message to a positive light, not a negative light. But it's a serious issue, okay? Because in life, to keep yourself out of a dark, desperate place, you cannot really live with someone. You cannot really be totally engaged with someone who's in a dark, desperate place. Because drowned people will pull you down out of their desperation, not out of their necessarily being evil. It is a blessing if you can help people. It's a blessing because other people at times will need to help and encourage you. So, but it came to me today. This is very important. It came to me today. This is when I wrote down, always write down a structured topic. Why? You have to focus your creativity, focus your energy to get stuff done. Don't just throw spaghetti against the wall. I was on the treadmill this morning and I was getting encouraged. I was getting inspired. And I said, wow, I feel great. I felt determined. I felt strong to go after an obstacle that I'm facing. And I felt very empowered. And I had all this energy. And I remember there's been in the past times where I've been on the treadmill. I've been getting all this energy. And then I talk to someone who's depressed. And they take my energy and they, like a pig takes pearls, they throw it down. Because while you could be on the treadmill, you could be getting worked up. They could be just eating a Pop-Tart. And they can be coming off their sugar spike high and they're apathetic. And, it's like those two energies, that intensity, that encouragement, and that affirmation that you're doing something right by self-care, by walking on a treadmill, and now you're getting pumped up towards your other goals. That energy now is it's getting strong, like a nuclear bomb, right? And the energy from a sugar crash off a Pop-Tart or off whatever someone else is doing, getting drunk, whatever, that energy, because remember, drinking alcohol is a downer. These people are doing all these things, and now you have two opposite energies, two opposite perspectives. And it's good to have variety of perspectives. And it's good that one person can pick the other person up at times. But in my experience in life, very rarely do you pick people up Usually people pull you down. And the only way to avoid them pulling you down sometimes is that you got to kick them off you. And now you're the bad guy or the bad girl. And this is where, again, we're going to focus on a positive message of boundaries, of being observant of the energy, whether it's with your mother, whether it's with your friend, whether it's with a coworker, whoever, someone you meet in the store, someone who parks next to you. Remembering that your energy is, you need it to overcome your fears, to overcome your obstacles. And if someone else is going to take that energy because of their own fears or because of their own things, and they're not doing the work, they're not on their treadmill, whatever their treadmill is for them, you know, it could become where you're fighting your inner circle. And I often struggle with that at time. I said, man, am I in the right place? Do the people around me reciprocate my energy? Because that's so important. Because why? Because again, someone's either inspiring you or depressing you. And if they're neutral, it's all, it's like, apathetic. I mean, we're talking about your best life. Good to see you, the collapsed world. You asked if is the nomad life dead? Well, there's trends, but there's always the nomad life. Remember, the 70s, they had the hippies, and before the 70s, you always had people traveling. But humans are creatures of habit, so they're always going to eventually go back to a healthy, or no, I shouldn't say healthy. Not everybody focuses on, but they're going to go back to some type of routine around the same area eventually. And so to me, definitely now more than ever with technology, with vehicles that are so improved, you could still live the nomadic life. The question is not is the nomadic life dead? The question is, are you healthy, productive, and do you have a good daily routine what you're currently doing? Because if you do, then you can thrive in the nomad life or the apartment life. And that's the question, and I said that in a healthy, respectful way to anyone listening. And that's where sometimes I've gotten battles online because I've answered that a little bit short, right? Like, I used to watch, again, sports players be interviewed after the game and they get asked the same question or a question that may seem like whatever, and they get a little short. And I understand the questions coming sometimes it's a little bit of a troll question. I'm not saying yours is, but I'm saying, like, as a public figure in their life, you have to remember sometimes you get the same question. Sometimes you get a question that you may think is trivial or trying to bait you. But I'll take the question sincerely. And my sincere answer is everyone, again, should do whatever they want as long as they're not hurting anyone. And again, it all comes down to what are your goals, what's your habits, what's your daily routine, what do you do for a living? If you're retired, do you have your sustainable income? Those things are the things that are the backbone of your life. Then how you choose to live, a vehicle, a house, apartment, those are just, a lifestyle difference. And if you're desperate because you have no other choice, then I always tell people in a first world country, go see a social worker. We have the lowest unemployment. Go see if you, I recognize that not everyone is built to work 40 hours, work part-time. I met a person working at Starbucks who they had shared with me the most they could really work is 3-4 days a week. And they thrived in that, but they found when they worked more than that, then it was collapsed. But what they did on the side was they also got some schooling, and they're going to do like some management work in their career. So, I recognize everyone's different, and I don't want to count anyone's money, and I don't want to tell anyone how to live. I want to share my experiences. Some they may help you, some they may not. And my experience is one of the most important things in life is trying to keep yourself in a well place. And it's very hard. Again, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, it's a battle. Every day it's a battle. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. Obviously, like everything in life, we're trying to win more than we lose as far as living healthy, prosperous, etc. And if we fall, we get back up and try to focus more on positivity than negativity. Even me, I said, Sammy, what are you going to title this video? Because I really wanted to title it kind of what I did and make the thumbnail a certain way, but I don't want it to be contentious towards anyone. But I want to be clear in the message. I don't want to beat around the bush. The clear message from my experience is when you're in the treadmill, when you're working towards your goals and you're getting intense, someone who's not on the treadmill, who's not taking care of themselves well, who's kind of like pacifying their dreams, you're going to collide. And you could both be great people. But again, that's why I want to lead this message to a positive. All I'm telling you, whoever you are out there, is put a boundary up. And don't feel guilty. Now, sometimes that boundary may be totally cutting off. Sometimes it may be, all right, well, I'm just not going to talk about this around that person. The only struggle I found with that is when you have to, again, we're talking more towards your inner circle, your personal life, not your professional life, because your professional life is a totally different spectrum. But in your personal life, when you're allowing people in your circle and you have to kind of like tippy-toe around them, man, that eventually comes to head, because it's like you don't want to tippy-toe in your own house, right? It's like even me, like the nomadic life, back to the collapsed world, one of his questions, the biggest problem long-term after 5 years full-time on the road is your lack of privacy. The biggest problem with a home base is if you don't feel comfortable in the community, and there's different things there too. So, but I say to myself, am I around the right people and do I have enough privacy, whatever life I'm living? Because I don't want to fight my inner circle. I don't want to fight people, whether it's in the Planet Fitness parking lot or in my parking space in my home base. And that's very hard to do, guys. I mean, these are things like they seem like simple and basic, and good to see too, David, on the live chat, and Coffee. Thank you for clicking the thumbs up. If you guys are watching live, click the thumbs up. You watch the replay, click the thumbs up. Leave a comment. We're live right now. I want to thank all my members, Geo, Adam, and Pacific Northwest. Thank you all. Appreciate you. Backwoods. David says, you ever do any travel in the Tampa Bay area? Yes. And if so, what did you think of it? I personally didn't like it. I really don't like the west coast of Florida, even though I know some great people from there. Charles, I have a couple people I know personally who they like Fort Myers and Naples area. If I had to be on the west coast, it would be Naples and Marcos Island. Why? Because I like South Florida and Tampa Bay, Central Florida. Even it's on the coast, but it's still central. And even on the coast on the East Coast, if it's central or north, I don't know, it's just a different energy. And I like South. In the summertime, you feel why it's south, but North Florida and Central Florida have a different feel. And the positive about Tampa is it's one of the 4 major hubs of Florida. Good to see you, Andy G. What are the 4 major hubs of Florida? Orlando, Tampa, Jacksonville, and Miami. Those are 4 metropolitan areas with the most economic opportunity, and the surrounding suburbs, you're going to be able to probably find a job. There's going to be every store, every amenity you want. Obviously the negatives of all those things are they can be congested. And obviously anytime you have a bunch of people, there could be bad areas. But just in general, now this is just my opinion and personal preference. Everyone's different. I'm not really a fan of the west coast of Florida. And I prefer the energy of the East Coast, and I prefer it to be south. So hopefully that answers your question. Back to live chats. Subdued, Florida sucks if you have to work. Well, it all depends on your perspective. Like I know people thriving that work in Florida. If you grew up here, depending on your industry and your background, I can understand that perspective. But I grew up with people in New Jersey that they worked hard in Florida when they were young. And yeah, they did come to New Jersey for a career, and they did go back to Florida. And now things are different in Florida than they were 20 years ago. I know people now that are working in healthcare. You could be a nurse, which is a middle-class job, and you can make above average. Medical industry is the biggest industry down here. You can be a maintenance tech in a hospital down here, and you can make decent money. Miami, Orlando, all these areas, they have economic opportunities. Again, I empathize with those who may grow up in the rural areas of Florida, and there are pockets of poverty in Florida, just like anywhere else. But, I always question people, right? And I say this in a positive, healthy way, to be helpful to people, not hurtful, is when people complain about the economic opportunities, ask them, what time did you wake up today? What did you do today? And what is your career path? What have you been doing? Because like I've met plenty of people, yeah, they do work services down here. I met those people too, but they work every day just about. And or I see them in the gym and I see them being productive. So they'll be able to figure it out. Now, again, is it a little bit a shame that maybe in some areas there's not enough industrial versus just services? Yeah, that's a shame. I agree with that. But it's changed definitely over the years. And they had the opportunity, just like I did in life, you're going to have to move. Meaning, even when I was in New Jersey, sometimes I would have to travel an hour, 2 hours to a different part of New Jersey to get a better job. So remember, you're not a tree. And remember, especially if you're living the nomadic life, if the opportunity is not where you are, then you need to move. And that's hard for people because people are creatures of habit. And I always tell the story. I remember one time I was by West Palm Beach, which, West Palm Beach, a lot of that area is hood. It's bad area. Because you go across the bridge, Palm Beach, all that's like big money. But I saw this kid in West Palm Beach and he was living out of a van. I said, man, why don't you just go, half hour up the road, half hour. I said, it's a lot better area. There's a lot more opportunity. But then I remember like I've been through different areas of my life growing up is certain people, they have a mindset of either this is all I know or I'm just comfortable here. I'm not going to leave here. And even though there's opportunity a half hour north or a half hour south, they just won't go. And I've learned through my life experiences, you could plant a seed, but you can't make, so I just got to focus back on me. And that's what I try to tell you in life. Don't try to save people. Try to plant a seed. Obviously, if you can give someone an opportunity, that's great. I've also tried to do that at times and people have done it for me. But don't dig your heels in. And I've done this before and I failed. Don't dig your heels in trying to encourage depressed people, trying to encourage people that aren't doing what they need to do. Why? Because again, the best example I could tell you, you'll be on the treadmill, you'll be getting pumped up, you'll just get done with work, and now you feel productive and you feel healthy, and then someone, they just called out of work, they just ate a Pop-Tart, and now you're going to have a fight. Why? Because your mindset is, damn, I was productive, I'm healthy, now I'm going to go after this next thing that scares me. Their perspective, now I feel worse about myself. Now I'm more behind the eight ball. And so they're on that, the world's going to crash mindset or don't push me. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And now your energies are going to combat. And again, that's why I don't want to get into a conflict with people. Conflict will mess you up. It'll mess your bag up and it'll mess your health up. Avoid conflict. But sometimes the way you got to avoid conflict is boundaries. Okay? And that's what I want to tell you. And remember, I got to say this straight up, very rarely people change. Okay? So you just got to accept without being judgmental and without being like, I'm going to take vengeance on this person or shame this person, but you have a right to share your experience. And my experience is, it's that's who they are, right? And if they said some crazy shit or they did some crazy shit, that's their pattern, okay? Or if you tried to encourage them and they took your pearls and they trampled on them like a pig, they're basically telling you, I'm going to stay in this dead-end relationship. I'm going to stay in this way of life. Don't fucking tell me do different. And when they say that, and when you better believe it, and you better back off. Why? Because that's who they are. And you are a person say, oh my God, I made a mistake. I failed. I want to keep going after my best life though. I'm scared. So now you got a depressed person who says, look, I'm staying in this place, okay, whether you like it or not. And now you're saying, well, I'm scared. I don't want to fight you and have to fight myself. So that's what I'm telling you. You only have so much energy. It's just like your car, whether electric or gas, only has so much energy. You better drive efficiently. And, let's go back to these live comments. Adam, good to see you, man. Good to see you, Adam. Thank you for being a member. I appreciate that support, man. Andy G, again, great to see you. Hello, my friend. Good to see you, too. Thank you, Andy G, for staying with me. I was surprised as I opened up some of the boundaries on my channel, and a lot of people come back. A lot of the core foundational people that have watched me for a long time. So I appreciate that. Veronica, hey, Veronica, good to see you. Love to you. I remember you. I remember you from when I found you a year ago. How are you holding up? Overall positive, but yeah, I certainly have take some hits. Every year you take hits. But I would say overall, thank God, I would say overall still going in a forward positive direction and still making progress. But progress is not a straight line up. And but the only way to make sustainable progress and long term is build consistency, self-care, fall, get back up, and surround yourself either with positive people or no people if you're in a season, or if you're only around people that are just going to bring you down. And there's plenty of outlets. There's plenty enough good people though too. I mean, it's not like if you isolate yourself, you also got to recognize that one is, even if you're around all good people, it's very important. Listen to this part. Even if you're around all good people, no one can do the work of your life. No one can get you up early but you. No one can get you to the gym but you. No one can get you to work but you. No one can get you to do your side venture than you. No one. And you thank God for the people that support and encourage you and give you opportunity. But just remember that you got to do it. So even if you're around good people, you thank God for that, but then you still got to do certain things. Now, if you're around bad people, and not all reckless bad, but some people that are just not on the same level or same energy or same tenacity, it doesn't mean you have to cut them off, but it means that you got to be careful with a boundary, because they're going to suck some of your energy at some point in your relationship. And you'll have to decide how much energy do you have to spare. You know what I mean? Like, how much energy do I have to let this person have of mine? And, and that's a personal decision. Again, I can't tell anyone how to live, but these are general things everyone's going to go through in life, right? So, and then you got to get back to, again, how hard is it to keep yourself going in life? And I'm middle-aged. I would say overall, I got it good, but I've made a lot of sacrifices also. I mean, so just remember, one day at a time. But just remember, don't try to save people. Work on yourself. Do the things you need to do and evaluate. When I'm energetic, and how often am I energetic? Because the other thing that can really, you got to ask yourself, can you be friends with someone when they're inconsistent? When they go disappearing for a little bit, to me, my experience has told me that's been a drug problem or a mental problem. Two is, if they're either all rah, rah, rah or nothing. Okay. Again, that's a big gap of emotional spectrum, and that's a little bit volatile. So someone who is not consistent and someone who's either very high or very low all the time, those are two type of people. You got to ask yourself, now, can you be type of friends with you? Because you can't rely on that person, and that person's volatile to be around. That's suspect. Okay, so now when someone's always depressed, same thing. Now, we all get depressed. We all get sad. We all need someone to pick us up. But none of us are really going to save each other. Actually, it's a lot of times in life you end up hurting more people. But let's stay positive. Let's go to the next comment. Let me not talk too much here on that. Adam, thank you again, brother. I hope you had a good day so far. Overall was good. I got a couple things that I'm working on, and I've been trying to focus all my energy to do the things I need to do. Okay, my personal responsibilities. And then in my personal life, for my goals, my life goals, there's always an obstacle. Okay. You achieve one, then another one pops up. You think you got one figured out, and then something happens. And that's okay. Don't get overwhelmed by that. One step at a time. And you fall, you get back up. Because again, a big part about life and just going forward, doesn't mean we're going to be millionaires per se, and I hope we are. Doesn't mean anything's guaranteed, but don't mind fuck life. Excuse my language here. Because I tell myself the same thing I tell you guys, I'm telling myself right now. When I start to go down a rabbit hole of figuring out everyone and life, don't mind fuck life. Okay? Keep it simple. Focus on what you need to do, what you want to do, tangible ways to get there, and persistence before you get back up. Okay, and so now, because you want to focus your energy. You don't want your energy to go into this outer space land, and you don't want energy to go into people who are not reciprocating it. And even when people are reciprocating it, you still need to keep a certain amount of energy focused on you. So to answer your question, overall things are good. I'm thankful. Took some hits, and there's some things I have to overcome, but I'm on track to overcome them. And I was thinking about that today, and when I wrote this video title down in my phone to do a structured live feed on. I said, man, when I'm on the treadmill, I was on the treadmill early this morning, and then I was being productive and taking care of myself. I said to myself, now I feel encouraged to overcome this obstacle that I'm scared of. And I remember being at that same exact point in the past. And my experience is when I was at that energy level, and I was like, yes, I'm going to do it. And then someone else came in my life and I was encouraging them, like, yes, you can do it. And then they got offended at that. And they drug me down. So I said to myself, okay, I could just curse them out or get mad at them, but that's not going to change them. So I said, I evaluated that situation. I said, what can I learn from that? One is, don't get too involved in other people's life. Okay? Because you got to just focus on yourself. Two is, that's been a recurring patterns at different points in my life with different people, but all yielded the same results. You got to be very cautious on how much you try to encourage people, because it could backfire on you. And again, then you go back to put all that energy back in yourself, okay? And plant the seed with certain people, encourage people. I always try to be calculated and say, I want to give this person a compliment, and a sincere compliment, especially if it's a good looking chick. I'm going to give her a good compliment. But I try to give even ugly people a good compliment. And because I understand how hard life is, and that's why I'm trying to keep myself at a very toned level here. Because believe me, when I was thinking about this morning, I said I should go live, even though I didn't have time to do it, so I wouldn't been able to do it. But I wanted to go live this morning and share this message. It would have been full of fire and fury. But then I also said to myself, it's actually good that I can't go live right now, because I just don't want to just throw out fireballs and just scorch the earth. Because I know that most people are hurting. Okay? So it's not my desire to make people hurt more for no reason. I mean, I don't get anything out of that. I mean, you may get some entertainment, but guys, I mean, there's plenty of entertainment out there. I mean, there's plenty of shit to watch. It's just crazy, right? So I want to share with you in a self-controlled way that don't let people steal your joy, and protect your peace, because you're going to need it to go after whatever you need to do and whatever you desire to do for your best life. And that's it. Celebrate with those who celebrate with you. Veronica, your beard is still righteous. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, last time I trimmed my beard real short, and I may trim it eventually. I do trim it every few weeks, and I shave my head. But last time I trimmed it real short, even though I liked it in certain ways, I said, man, I don't think I want to trim it that short again. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I thought at this point in my journey, after I bought a home base, my styling would be a little bit different. But some things didn't pan out how I planned. So I'm just not at the season I thought I'd be at this point. But director, good to see you, brother. I love you. But, to me, all that's cherry on the top. Because I've had plenty of years of my life where, being dressed up and being, and as I get older, I just want to be comfortable. But I do want to be a little bit more refined and comfortable. But again, certain things that I was planning to do didn't pan out. So what do I do next? Well, again, now I fall, I get back up. But like I say, as I get encouraged, as I encourage myself being on a treadmill and being productive in my responsibilities, I get inspired, right? But then where I failed is I took all that energy sometimes and I shared, yeah, you do it too, you get it. And then they just ate a Pop-Tart and they're having a sugar crash. And then not even if they even physically ate a Pop-Tart, but the mindset of that, right? It's the mindset of it. Just for some people, your inspiration is just entertainment, and that's okay. I often say, guys, I'm in Florida, the land of Disney World, right? All Disney World is entertainment, pretty much. I mean, there's some values in some of the stories and stuff, right? And as I've become more observant of the human condition, most people just want to be entertained. They don't want to be taught. They don't want to be informed. They don't want to even be encouraged, and that's okay. Because I think about sometimes, in life, I get it too. I understand why. Certain people just believe, look, they give up on certain things. And it's just like, just entertain me. I don't really want. And I get that. I do. And there's a certain mindset that rather just see Mickey Mouse run around, than a guy barking at them about being on a treadmill. I get that too, but that's not me. So like I respect, people who are into that. That's not me. I don't like Buc-ee's. I don't like Disney World. I don't want to disrespect people who like that because I'm not into that either. But for me, something as simple as waking up early, handling a couple of things that I needed to do for my job, and then being on the treadmill and taking care of myself, and then being inspired to overcome an obstacle I have in my personal life. To me, that's what I want to do. And I want to overcome that. And I need the energy to do that. And if I waste that energy on someone who's not on that same level or mindset or pattern of daily routine, there's going to be a clash. Now my energy goes into fighting someone else instead of overcoming my obstacle. And that's why you got to ask yourself, can you be friends with a depressed person? Yeah, certainly you could, but there has to be a boundary. And depending on where you're at in your journey, that boundary may need to be very firm, or that's for you to figure out. Everyone figure out their own life, but this is what I wrote down. I wanted to share with you from my experience, not my theory. Relationships going to mess you up, whether they're online relationships, real life relationships. They're all basically the same. Two different people, everyone has a different fingerprint, even if you're related. So this may even apply to your relationship with your mother, your father, your daughter, whoever. And that's it. Click the thumbs up. Let's go back to live comments. Adam says, hit the thumbs up. Thank you, Adam, again, man. You've been very gracious. Thank you for being a member, man. Love you. Cliff, Nomad, good to catch you. Bro, good to have you here too, Cliff. Thank you. Keep doing your thing. Thank you very much for that, man. Appreciate that. For the fight, the good fight. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm trying. I'm not always right. I'm not always good. None of us are. But yeah, I'm trying as best I can for what I need to do for me. I want to focus more. Because even me, like I think of certain videos too, I think of certain things. I say, Sam, just stay focused on yourself. But I need to share these lessons, okay? But this is mainly just about focusing on yourself. That's it, man. Coffee. Don't try to save depressed people. Save yourself. Inspirational Nomad. Yeah. And I say that in a healthy way, Again, encourage people. I try to make it part of my daily routine to give someone a compliment. Again, if they look good, I say, I'm going to enjoy giving this compliment. If they look ugly, I enjoy giving it too. Why? Because look, we all have our flaws. I mean, I'm not perfect. And, I still love people for the most part. And even the good looking people. I don't want to get with no one. Why? That's just not who I am. Especially at this point in my life. At this point in my life, I want to take it one day at a time. I want to refine some things in my personal goals. And I just want to stay in a healthy place one day at a time. That's it. How I define it for me. And I want to get through life until I end up where Tina Turner ended up. Rest in peace, Tina Turner. She died today, 83. Average life expectancy is 78. So while the big wheels keep on turning, the world going to keep on burning. All right, so, live your best life. Coffee. Oh, yeah, I read that. Thank you. Carnage. Well. Good to see you here tonight. Andy. Been a while, man. I appreciate it, man. You've been hanging around a long time. And thank you, man. And I remember what you shared. I remember your children, and I believe you were in Georgia. So I just remember you were working on your relationship with your children, working on yourself, and you were in Georgia. And I remember you fighting the good fight, trying to just move forward. Been a while. Totally enjoying your live stream. Thank you, my man. It's refreshing here. Thank you. I'm trying to do it. Like I say, obviously always got to be a structured topic. Why? Because you got to structure your energy while allowing creativity, just free flow things. I don't have anything written down other than like a bullet point and things. And then two is trying to do it under self-control. I want to be entertaining, so I want to go a little wild. But also, I don't want to go too wild because I recognize most people who are listening are probably hurting. I don't want people to think I'm necessarily talking about them. So I just want to share what I need to share. We're going to have a little fun as always, but, just keep it going. Rembels, good seeing you live again, Sam. You got this. Thank you for the encouragement. Same back to you. Ryan, you truly are inspirational, man. Thank you. Life is a struggle. I agree with that. No matter where and when or how. You can struggle externally or you can struggle internally. I agree with that. Some people show it, some people don't. I'd rather struggle externally. Yes, and I would just add to that, be careful who you share with. I remember I was at a job one time and we were on lunch break, and I was making something in the microwave, and I was like, I was asking the guy that was there, I said, man, why you never smile? And he said, Sam, you got to be careful. He goes, you smile, people see you're happy, they want to steal that. They want to take your joy. And, even though I heard that before, it stuck with me. Now, I told him, well, I'm not going to go around my whole life not smiling. But I also understand, because when something sits with you for a while, something was meant for you. And what I agree with what he had shared with me was, you got to be careful who you share with. So even me, like I've made a mental note, like I share more things publicly than a lot of people, but some things to keep private, because privacy is a little bit of a premium. Some things you need to keep private, but also there's a blessing in sharing. You help yourself and you help others. There's a duality. But the other point I want to make to your comment is, because I do this, when you start to look at everyone, and I know I've seen life, obviously some people struggle so much more than you. Some people not as much, at least from our perception. Again, to your point, some people show it, some people don't. But this is a very mental note, don't try to figure out other people's life and society life. Obviously, within a certain perspective, always be part of a society. If you're going to be a leader in society and you can figure out things, great. But even if you were going to do that, what I want to share with you, don't get lost in a rabbit hole of trying to understand everything, because it's a waste of energy to a certain point. Focus back on you, what you need to do today, starting the time you get up, starting your productivity, starting your health, starting when you go to bed, hygiene, all those things. And the goals, whatever they are for you, we're all different on what you need to do. Because a lot of your goals are going to be trial, error, failure, fall, get back up, fall, get back up, fall, get back up. And fall, get back up. The only way you get back up is if you have the energy. And again, when you're Tina Turner's age and when you're a very elderly person, that energy is obviously even less, right? So, your lifespan is what it is. 78 years average, right? And when you're very young, obviously, you're young. You got to get built up. Your brain doesn't even fully develop till you're 25. So but by the time you're 25, you want to have at least started to curb some of your bad behavior. Because like I said, for me, when I started to hit 25, that's when I was like, well, I'm going to stop hanging out as much. Whether I spend more of my time, at that time it was more of my time in the church than in the club, and less time drinking, less time smoking, more time working, right? So 25 is not that young. It's not old. But you just got to remember that 25, like I said too, 25, even if you got to get help from your parents, get out of your house if you're not disabled. Why? Because I tell you, you got to know what it's like to buy your own toilet paper. You got to know what it's like to be behind on the bills. Why? Because that's going to light a fire under your ass to get a better job. It's going to light a fire under your ass to appreciate your parents, even if they were imperfect. And you will never grow that way eating a Pop-Tart in the other room, watching Wi-Fi, So, again, but we all need help. So I don't want to shame people for being a certain point, but I'm just trying to say, push yourself. Mobang, $2 super chat. Thank you, Mobang. Mobang, man, I appreciate your positive energy, man. Smile all the time to confuse people. Now, I see that. You get life, man. You get life, man. You know how to deal with people. You're very good, but that's why you've been very successful, man. You came from another country, a third world country. You adapted in America. You bought a house in California, which is now worth like 4 times what you bought 20 years ago. You raised a family. I know you struggle a little bit with your kids, but just focus on yourself, because, at this point in your life, you're not going to change people. Focus on yourself. And, you strike a positive tone. Your videos are all positive. None of them are about gossip or bullshit. And so you carry yourself well, man. And you get the most out of all your potential and talent. And so to me, and none of us are perfect, so I'm not putting you or myself on a pedestal, but overall, man, you're doing your thing. So, and you get people, like you say, smile, you confuse them, but when in doubt, just smile and shut up. Just keep you out of trouble and keep your energy conserved, right? Because think about that, right? Like, say you like someone's on some total BS, right? And you stop smiling and you start arguing. Now your energy level just got depleted out the wazoo. But let's just say you smile, shut up, and let that negativity just go by you. Now, even though it hurt a little bit to do that, you still got the energy. Okay? And sometimes you need that energy like that motherfucker, right? Now you got that extra built up energy, a little bit of anger, you need a little bit, but now you can harness it and put it into yourself. Instead of arguing with them, you depleted it all into a Pop-Tart eating lazy motherfucker that's going to stay with the same person, do the same shit for 50 years. Yeah. I thank God for smiling and shutting up. It ain't easy sometimes, and sometimes I fail. And every time I fail, I say, I cannot be friends with a depressed person. I wrote that down in the scripture of my life. And you got to ask yourself that. Remballs, $2 super chat. Damn it, thank you, Rembells. I appreciate that. Rembells and Mobang, I want to thank you both very much for the gracious super chats. Let me keep going to live. Thank you very much, both of you. Very gracious. I hope I'm reading all these comments. Thank you. Veronica, people with low energy are like leeches. Well, I just want to take a pause there, and I'm going to read the rest of your comment. Some people, I believe, are just naturally lower energy, and it doesn't mean they're bad people. And some people are just more reserved. So as I become more mature and I recognize different personality types and different people, so I do want to make that notation, even though in some general speaking, you are correct. But I've also learned in life, we just want to be careful not to totally generalize, right? And that'll just balance our perspective. If you allow them to become attached to you, they will drain your life energy. It's tough, One of the toughest parts about this question tonight, and to your point, is depressed people are going to help you in life. People that you disagree with are going to help you, and in a sincere way. And that's a blessing. So that's the duality. Like, you want to be grateful because you don't want to look down on a depressed person, or even if we're just talking about someone on a different mindset than you. You don't want to look down on them because, one is they've helped you, they've looked up to you. Two is we can all be broken in life. I've been broken. But also, to move forward, you can't give blind loyalty to anyone because that's how you end up doing wrong things. And you can't repay someone with your soul. It's like, someone did something for you. They also should have just done it out of goodness of their heart, and let that be that. So again, it's that duality that it's not exactly clear on can we be friends, right? But in a healthy, positive way, I'm just emphasizing a boundary. And everyone gets to define that for themselves, And then Veronica was saying, I've been there. So very true. Plant seeds and keep them moving, have boundaries and limits. Yes, and what I want to share is other people have had to have boundaries with me. And that's what I want you to also, everyone listening to this live or the replay, I want you to remember that you will need to have boundaries with others, and others will need to have boundaries with you. And that will keep your perspective fair, because, it shows that, you're not above someone saying, you know what, this person, they may look at you like you look at someone else, and you have to accept that, and don't take it personal. And that takes a little while. You got to go through that maturity stage, and it's not easy, but you always got to be fair in your evaluation, right? Because then it's like easy to let all that anger get to you. It's, this person did this to me, this person did that to me. Yeah, but don't forget, I'm sure in our own way, we've done things to other people. So just keep your perspective like that, keep you in a healthier place, Brandon, thanks for the wisdom in all your videos. Thank you. I appreciate that, Brandon. Sometimes my wisdom has failed me, so I don't want to act like I have all the answers. I think overall it's helped me. There is no exact answer to life. Everyone's an individual. So some of the things I'm just sharing, it's just me trying to get through life and my perspective. I think you can get something out of them. I think, again, everyone's got to figure it out for themselves. But, yeah, as I get older, sometimes I do question that, man. It's like, is wisdom really helping me here? Because I'm still going through some things. But I think overall it's helped me. But it is, as you get older, you do ask yourself that sometimes, But, the opposite is, if you live totally reckless, then that's not going to help you either. Obviously, though, you don't want to be totally wise and totally good. There's even a scripture that says, Don't be too good and don't be too bad. Try to find the balance. Don't be extreme on either way. So, you know, and I remember I met a girl at a campground like a year ago, or this winter I saw her, and she had said that in passing. You know, she was like, "Be good, but not too good." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right," because I remember I read that in the Bible. You're right about that. But not in a bad way. But you don't be too good, dude. Hey, brother. Hey, Sam. How are you? Just done with pizza delivery. You're killing it, man. Way to be productive. See, when you get done doing a pizza delivery or whatever your job is, and you're trying to take care of yourself, you get inspired, you get energetic, you get passionate. Why? Because you just feel better about your circumstance. Now, if you go home and someone didn't deliver pizza today, or they had a bad day, or they can drain all that energy just like that. And that's why I'm telling you tonight, you got to ask yourself, who can you be friends with? You got to be careful. The director, it's great to see you, Charles, man. Oh, Charles, I caught the replay of your live feed where you were sanding down the Batman face mask. I love your creativity. I mean, when I saw that video, I hope you're still in here. Leave another comment if you are. When I saw that video, I said, this guy is seriously focused on the whole aspect of director and movie making. I saw that passion, man. Just the way you were saying, I said, this guy's passionate about the theater, about movies, man. And that's awesome. Because, I mean, that's genuine, man. I can feel it. When you were saying that, the sand, even though the sand sound was so abrasive, what I got from that was this, it's like, that's what you do, man. Like, you're into the, and I was like, man, that's awesome, man. Because you could tell you're not faking it. David says, living below your means is a valuable lesson, Sam. Yeah. And it's a constant reminder because it's so easy to slip up. Good job, Veronica. Self-awareness and reflection is a beautiful thing. Yep, just don't get too deep or you get lost in the sauce. It brings an abundance of great qualities that are rare to find in people. Yep, just remember we're all flawed, so don't think about it too much. It's truly humbling and highly rewarding having that mindset. Yeah, but again, just remember the mindset of not having a high mindset, right? Because you don't want to become too much of a philosopher. And I've done that in life. So I'm sharing with you the pros and the cons. When you start to philosophize too much or have like this highly enlightened mindset, you'll eventually get brought down to earth because that's not good either. You do want to be enlightened, but you also want to be able to laugh at complete nonsense too, because you need that. You need that levity. There is a balance there. Forgive me for not pronouncing this right. Kazuka. I've been here a long time as a lurker. Okay, well, thank you for watching. But this is a rare moment where I speak. Well, thank you for speaking up. I know that's not easy. It takes a lot of guts to type this in. Thank you. I've been watching a while now, and the journey has been very inspirational. Thank you for that. I know it wasn't easy to type that. Thank you. Being in this community has helped me a lot. Well, I appreciate that. I really do, because I know what it's like to speak up. It's not easy at times, especially if you're a quiet, reserved person. So I thank you for the words of encouragement and watching. Thank you. Director, I've been fighting the food fight of getting my weight down. It's a fight, especially as we get older. Once you get into your 30s and definitely your 40s, your metabolism goes down. I can share from my experience, I've been obese and I've been damn near anorexic. And I don't want to be at either extreme anymore. I'm still going to enjoy food, but it's overall going to be healthy food and within a level of reason. But I'm not going to go back to being super skinny, and I'm not going to go back to being super obese. So, because I just want to live a kind of balanced life. There's some part of those extreme lives that are fun, to be an extreme foodie or to be extremely disciplined, but they're unsustainable. So for your height, for your body type, and for your age, you just want to try to find a relatively healthy balance. He goes, I put in the steps and take in about 2,000 calories. That's less than me, so you're doing good there. But my weight won't budge. Frustrating. Well, you're middle-aged. I think you're close to my age. So to lose weight, you really have to eat 1,500 calories or less and work out twice a day. If you're really going to get to that point. But obviously the calorie intake is more important than the workout. Yep. Crazy for books. Hey. I hope you're well. Hope the same for you. Good to see everyone. Thank you for coming in. Veronica Kazaku. Forgive me for saying that name wrong. That's awesome. Glad to hear that. Yeah, it was nice of them to leave a comment. Nice to see you are a rare comment. Yep. Crazy for Books. Sam, I retired from therapy. That's not an easy job. I often think about therapists. I could have be a therapist in some regards, but I don't think I had the patience. I don't have the patience to sit that long. This is the longest I sit all day in some regards. And I get frustrated hearing too much bullshit at a certain point. And that's, so yeah, everyone's different. Not everyone's called to be a therapist. Not everyone's called to be a nurse. Not everyone's called to be a pizza delivery person. Not everyone's called to be a car mechanic. Always remember, what are you focused to be called on? And always remember, there's only so much you can take because you're human. And Crazy for Books saying that also, again, they retired from being from therapy, and I am now a librarian. Oh, okay. Much less stress. Yeah, I mean, to me, being a therapist is almost like being in the Army, 20 years now. That's the most you could do. Same thing as a nurse. Why? There's a lot of trauma in those jobs. Same thing as construction worker. Like, all those jobs used to have like 20-year and out pensions. Why? Because when you're dealing with a very strenuous job, now, a therapist is not physically strenuous like a pipe fitter in a nuclear plant, but it's very mentally strenuous because you're basically a pipe fitter in a in a mental institution, a nuclear plant. You know, so yeah, you know, and no disrespect, but it's a tough job. And oh, it's Erin. Oh, Erin. Erin is the social worker. Yeah, I remember you. Oh, hey, Erin. Oh, and she's an author. Yeah. Hey, Erin. How's your son? Did you come to Georgia? I've tried to follow along. Well, Erin, you've been very gracious to me. Like I say, you're in a season now, and many of my women or men who are single, empty nesters, where one is you just got to work on you. It's a little bit anticlimactic to raise your kids and then to work back on yourself, because you look forward to getting to a point where you raise your kids because you sacrifice so much. But then it's also like now there's a void, and how much do you really want to work on yourself? After the initial high, you get kind of bored with yourself. And that's where you got to be very focused, because you could go off track very easily. One is you can get too involved with your kids again and both of you become too much of a crutch, or you could just totally let yourself go, or you could just totally, drift into nothing, And the older you get, the harder it is to keep yourself focused. So, your goals don't have to be the same as you get older. They're different. But always go back to wake up early, try to be somewhat productive in whatever you do. Try to go for a walk. And try to just stay around people. Well, one is, remember, there's a certain part of the day, most of the day, you just got to be around yourself. So take care of yourself. That's number one message. Number two message is the people around you in your personal inner circle, you got to make sure they're on the same page. If they're not, boundary, don't disrespect them, but you got to put boundary up. Mo Bang, thank you again, brother, for the fires and a gracious super chat. You're an ace guy, man. Respect to you. Crazy for Books, a.k.a. Aaron. David, I have been all over Tampa Bay area all week. Most recently, Tarpon Springs. I never heard of it. Okay. Rembells, thank you again for that gracious $2 super chat. Kazuko, I, as someone who has struggled my entire life with depression, I've went through my fair share of pains. It allowed me to have the gift of being able to help others, with boundaries, of course. Yeah, in my experience, thank you for sharing your experience. In my experience, depressed people are apathetic people. Remember, like Robin Williams says, or he had some type of saying, I may not get it exactly, like, I don't know, like, sensitive people can feel everyone's pain or someone. But just remember, Robin Williams, and I met someone with ADHD the other day who works in a supermarket. And he said, man, you look like Robin Williams. And he said that to me a couple of times. I was like, but he was a good guy. So I appreciate that, because I got the beard. And then he was like, well, I don't mean to, keep telling you that, but he's a real inspiration to me. I said, really? And he goes, yeah, I have ADHD and some type of learning thing. But he inspired me to work and to be productive because I was really in a dark place. And I was like, oh, okay. I said, well, just remember, he was in a dark place at times too. I mean, he eventually killed himself. And some of his ex-wives said that he was very tough in his personal life. And he goes, no, I know all that. He goes, but he just helped me, And so I get it. I get that when you're depressed, or when you're very emotional, or when you're empathetic, you feel other people's pain, and that's good. But remember, you can't save anyone if you don't have the track record that you've saved yourself. And remember, when you were depressed, someone may have inspired you, whether it's Robin Williams, Tina Turner, Inspirational Nomad. Someone may have inspired you, but you had to decide to go work at the supermarket. You had to decide to deliver pizza. You had to decide to do whatever you need to do for you. And that'll help you. Good job, David. How do you like the traffickers? Talking to Aaron, I guess, about Tampa. Director, who's in Tampa area. I'm still here, brother. Thank you. Thank you for the compliment. Yeah, it's an extreme compliment. I said, I hope I speak to Charles because I want to tell him that. Yeah, when I saw that live feed, I felt that passion that you have for movies, man. David, sometimes your wisdom pisses me off. It's understandable, but it's because it's just what I need to hear. Well, I hope so, in a healthy way. I really do. I really do. Thank you. Thank you for that. Ryan, hit that like. Yeah, I appreciate those who click that thumbs up. Thank you. Nirvana, what's up, man? Hey, brother, good to see you, man. Great message again, Sam. I'm trying my best. I wrote it down, and I said I want to do it under self-control. Good thing I didn't do it this morning when I got off that treadmill, because it would have been fire and brimstone. And I know that's good sometimes for those people, but, I also say to myself, Sam, at this point in your journey, even though fire and brimstone, it's very entertaining. Even I entertain myself sometimes. I said, but most people who watch, they're hurting, so you don't want to just scorch the earth, even though it's entertaining. It's just not, I got to pull myself, and I've done it already. So now as I get older, so let me just, and there'll be times I'll probably still do it, but as I get older now, let's just be a little bit more directed and stay focused, positive. Physical fitness relates to mental functioning. Yes, and obviously there's the very elderly and the very disabled, so everyone has their certain level of limitations, so yep, that's true too. All in a well comprehensive understanding. Kazuku, maybe this will help pronunciation. Okay. Keizuko. Keizuko. Okay, I think I got it now. Keizuko. KO. I'm going to call you KO. Yeah, like Tyson KO. KO knockout. Hey, KO. Are you okay with that? Nirvana. I gave up my 6-hour-a-week psychiatric job a couple months ago. I could understand that. You did your time already. I thought I loved my job, found it was a hard like. Yeah, also what I found in life is after you've done a hard job for several years and you go back to it, you're just in a different place, man. And that's okay. It's okay to evolve, It's like, there may be a season of life where you run 4-inch rigid pipe in an industrial plant. And then there might become a season of life where you're a project manager and you're just behind a keyboard. Why? Because, evolution, and maturity and growth, right? It's like, if you did 20 years in a mental institution doing hard psychiatric or restraining people, right? And then like you kind of go back to that, maybe you're called to be in like administrations or something, and maybe you can write like helpful things as you evaluate someone's medical history. Maybe through your experience of being in the field, you could look at their medical history and say, in my experience of being in the field, this is something I would look at and this is something I would do, right? So now you can apply your experience without being in the trenches, right? And it'd be helpful to someone else who's got the energy to be in the trenches. Oh, just doing Shelly. Hey, what's up? Thank you for all your comments. You've been very positive. Hey, Sam. Good to see you. Same to you. KO. Adding into 2 comments ago. At 21, I'm proud to say I'm able to guide those younger and older than myself in tough situations. It brings great joy seeing others prosper from my advice. Well, I can understand that. If you're 21, I remember when I was 21, and I understand that mindset. The only thing I can share with you, because there's only so much you can receive at the age of 21. Why? Because I remember when I was 21. The only thing I will share with you is I just want you to remember is your brain biologically does not fully develop till the age of 25. And you probably won't know who you are in a well-balanced way till the age of 35. So the advice you're giving now, while some of it may be foundationally good, there's still a big lag in your biological development, what is yet to come, and then your comprehensive way where you look at life, and then no matter how old you get, you never fully figure out life, right? It's just, so that's the wild part about life. Meadow Tales, all the way from the Philippines. It's early in the morning. Hey, Meadow, how are you? Hello, everyone. I'm listening while working. You still working hard. You married a tall guy with a nice ass. You're doing great. We love you, Meadow. Crazy for books. David, the traffic is horrible. She's talking about in Tampa, but I do love the area in general. Director, I know that working on the mask is a geek thing. No, I didn't look at it at all. And that's the good part about getting older. What's the good part about getting older? Well, you don't have to really worry too much about what people think as far as like, is this cool or not? Because that's a gift of getting older. And when I saw that, because now I've known you for a little while to the extent you can know someone online, I just genuinely saw your passion. It was not contrived. And, certainly you're doing a video, so I understand you have to structure things a certain way. You got to make it. But it was just like, that's what you enjoy. And I appreciated that, man. Or it's what you think about. It's what, you go get you going. But I figure, what else is there to do? Nah, to me, you did something productive rather than doing nothing. And I thought that was awesome. As I age, it feels like my energy levels are going down. It's biologically true. And there's nothing wrong with that. You just do the best you can. Can't really play pickup ball anymore. I wouldn't. I tell you, in my early 30s, that was the last pickup basketball game I played. I think I was 31, 32. I was playing a street pickup ball game, and some young kid in his 20s threw me a very hard pass. And it hit my finger and broke my finger. My finger went the total opposite way. So I had a totally dislocated, broken finger. I had to go to the emergency room, and a female doctor had to pull it back in place. It never fully healed. You see that finger right there? You see that? It won't go straight. Why? I was in my 30s playing pickup basketball. There comes a point where you got to change and adapt. That's the lesson. Cliff, damn, a barn burner tonight. Thank you, man. I will have to finish this tomorrow. Thank you. Yep. Have a good night. Same to you, Cliff. Thank you, man. Appreciate that positive comment. Coffee. Top 3 benefits of being single, loner, solitude. 1, emotional stability. 2, financial stability. 3, freedom by emotional, inspirational nomad. Well, thank you. Thank you and thank you. The only thing I'll say to balance that is I'm grateful that I have been in relationships because it's made me a well-rounded person. I've got to experience love. 2 is, it's okay if you're going to be in a relationship, I recommend you spend money on the other person. Why? You don't want to be cheap, and there's a season to spoil someone, or even if it doesn't work out, that's it's okay. You're going to spend money on something, and then after all that's said and done, then you'll have to ask yourself, am I the relationship person? Is it my goal? 2 is, do I find myself being more fulfilled in a healthier place in a relationship or outside a relationship? And that's where everyone has to come to that point. Everyone has a different answer. The answer is different for everyone. Not everyone's called to be single. I know some people, if they were single, they'd be miserable. But not everyone's called in to be in a relationship. So life is a little bit of a struggle no matter what. Obviously, in some ways, it could be easier if you're single. Definitely. But, some people do better in partnerships. But the bad part about that is some people need to leave partnerships, but it's very hard. And they don't have the energy to do it. And I empathize because there's certain things for even my personal self that I have to overcome. And it's like, man, do I have the energy to overcome this? But that goes back to the structured topic. If you're trying to overcome your goals and you're friends with your father, someone you met online, or someone you grew up with, or a stranger in the supermarket, and you're sharing too much of your energy, and they're going through their battle and they're kind of probably not going to change, and you're fighting to change, eventually you're going to fight each other. And I'm not saying you got to separate ties from everyone, but I'm saying you got to evaluate what type of boundaries you need, because how can you do both? You can't, KO. In addition to the above statements, I've been fortunate enough to have the ability to combat the depression and pull myself from a dark times. Life may not be perfect, but I'm always optimistic. Well, just remember, take it one day at a time. That's all we can do, KO. That's a new one. It made me Laugh, KO is following me. Yeah, it's a good abbreviation, and I think it's a good, nickname. That's cool. Awesome. Thank you. KO. I unfortunately had to grow up faster than most of people my age, but it's allowed me certain ways of thinking that surprise people older than me. Yep. That has been a blessing, though. It helps me in life. Yeah, that's the good part about having life experience early, is even though it may age you a little bit or put you through some things, it also makes you more well refined and knowledgeable at an earlier age than you would have otherwise been if you didn't go through it. Director, I've noticed that these guys who make superhero costumes and movie props may seem childish. Well, I used to think about that, but also I've known some great people that are into like Superman and Batman. So from a place of maturity, I say, Sam, even though it may seem childish, one is they've been very good to me in many regards, different people I've met throughout my life. Two is everyone's into different shit. As you get more mature, to me, as long as you're not doing really something negative or toxic, why should, to me, is if you're sincerely into it and it's not hurting anyone, I say more power to you. But it's a way to develop my new skills. Yeah, and I do see it as a skill set because the way you do it, and you're obviously you have too the brain capacity where you do CAD. CAD software is very hard. I mean, I suck at CAD. I'm better at Visio. So you're not a dummy. Number one. Number two, number one's a dummy. Three is creativity in the arts and movies. I mean, someone has to be passionate about those things. Why? Because they're a part of society. So again, not everyone's called to be a nurse. Not everyone's called to be in movies. Not everyone's called to use CAD software. Not everyone's called to use Visio software. It's just everyone's different, It's like 3D modeling, making molds. Yeah, all those are positive things. Sewing, whatever. Yeah, those are all positive, productive things. Director, a perfect old man hobby. That's a good hobby, yeah. Director, I'd like to learn how to make action figures and toys too. To me, that's a good goal. It aligns with what you're passionate about. All right, guys and girls, I got to go. I want to thank my members. Again, Adam was in here tonight, Geo, and Pacific Backwoods. Also, I thank Timothy and Rembells for the gracious super chats. Thank everyone who clicked that thumbs up, left a comment. Hope this message helped you in some way. See you in the next one. Peace.